All right, so welcome to another episode of Investing with Quito. I've got my co-host here, Jeremy, today. Jeremy, how are you?
Dude, I'm doing great, doing awesome, busy, looking at deals, like excited about the market. There are a lot of opportunities there. So I think it's a great time. So I'm excited to hear what you're working on and all the things that you got going on too.
All right, yeah, let's hop on. I know you're working on some deals, so kind of share with with us what you're currently doing and whatnot.
So I think still my current acquisition process is to look for businesses that are looking, like owners that are looking to retire and to see if there's a deal there or opportunity there. So one would be there's a business here in Billings. They've been open for over 25 years, and the sellers don't know what to do, so they just listed it without a broker. They're over 70, so they want to retire, but none of the kids want the business, and it's a very specific business of like a staffing, like employment agency, and so it's more niche, takes some higher skill, but sellers don't know what to do with it. So there's like, what do we do? Do we retire? Do we sell it? Do we liquidate it? Does it go out? So I'm still seeing tons of opportunity with businesses of people who want to retire but don't know what to do or can't get the cash out of the business or something like that. So there's a lot of opportunities that way. And then also trying to find assets like to park the money in, so like homes, complexes, uh, laundromats, things like that, that would like then park money there to appreciate and also have cash flow. So that's kind of the goal still to
Hmm.
acquire businesses, get the cash flow, put them in assets that are
Right.
cash flow producing, right?
So with this staffing business, what kind of piqued your curiosity regarding that type of business?
To be honest, when I go on Biz Buy Sell, that's the place where they have listings from all different kinds of brokers and all over. I try to look for listings that are listed by the seller or by the owner.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
this one was listed by the owner without a broker and didn't have the information and was spelled wrong. So I think
Okay.
the seller is like doesn't know what to do. So to have a conversation directly with the seller is probably the most helpful thing. That's what makes me curious about it. And just like
Hmm.
get the reps in, right? Like just do something. So
Right.
as I'm continually looking for listings and leads, I'm talking with brokers, looking at different websites, but like trying to get directly to sellers because I think that's where like the best deals can come from. And that's what you've told me as well, is like the best deals you have is when you actually talk with a seller directly. That's not through an agent, and then you can actually make a deal with them and make it work out for everyone.
Right, right. Yeah, it's so much easier. I mean, not to say that going through an agent is not valuable, because I mean they can bring you stuff that you're not aware of, right?
Hmm.
But what I found out is if I'm doing my own legwork, right, going out there, hitting the doors, talking to people, and going directly to the seller, I find that I can get better deals that way.
Yeah, so that's what's attractive. So I'm still reaching out to agents and stuff like that too, but I'm looking
Hmm.
directly for people to talk with. So one example again is like a trailer home listed for sale by owner. Woman needs to move quick, has medical problems, and like she doesn't want to go through an agent, and so she's just been sitting on it and doesn't know what to do with it. So it's a great opportunity for me to come in and solve a problem and help her out.
Right, right. Yeah, and speaking of agents, I find it frustrating. Like when I try to reach out to agents, I'm trying to build relationships, right? And I call them and they don't call me back.
Mm-mm.
I will leave a message like, hey, this is Keto. I'm a local investor here in town. I just want to see if there's an opportunity for us to do any business, right? Just something like that, just to see, just to cast out a line to see if I can invite. And I'm surprised they don't call back because I know, when I was an agent, if I receive a phone call, I'm like, that's a hot lead. Like they're calling
Hmm.
me, I'm gonna call back. So it's kind of interesting how my experience so far with some of the agents here locally leaving messages, not getting a return. And I think I just left one like 2 days ago, no call back. Like,
Hmm.
wow, that's okay. So
Yeah,
yes.
you'd think, right? So it's like you want to build relationships with agents like you have, but like if they don't call you back, like it kind of forces you to make those adjustments.
Right, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's what I mean. If you can get directly with the seller, that's great. So so you mentioned you're talking to a seller about this mobile home.
Hmm.
What's your play on that? I mean, if you were to get it, what would you do with that?
Well, so just recently I acquired a mobile home. You looked at it with me. We showed it at our
Hmm.
last meeting, our last meetup, and the goal of already doing it would be like I got the property under seller finance with a good interest rate. Then I took that interest rate, moved it up, and moved up price up to an end buyer so that they were attractive. Like you can do this without a bank. This is a contract for deed. You get your own place. So I still have possession of the property, but now I don't have any maintenance on the property, anything. I don't have to pay any utilities on the property. I don't have to think about rentiers or like getting tenants in the property. I just get cash flow from the property
Hmm.
of selling it on a contract for deed to an end buyer, a seller finance deal. And so looking around that same trailer park, I noticed three other homes that were for sale by owner. And I just call them up and it's like, hey, maybe I can do the same play here because I know the
Hmm.
people in the park. I know what it can go for. I've done this before. Let's just try to go do it again. That's kind of the
Right.
play here. So like, let's get the property under contract for the price I want at the interest rate I want. Let's take that, wrap it into a different price and a higher interest rate, and give it to an end buyer who needs a home,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Who doesn't know it's available. So like my job would then be marketing, contacting people, showing the property, and doing the legwork of getting someone in there, which the seller can't do or doesn't have the time or the energy to do. So that's
Right.
kind of
Right.
the value add there is like giving it a better offer and package.
Hmm. Yeah, because a lot of times your traditional homeowner, right? They don't know and they don't have the skills like you have, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you've taken time to study the market, you've taken time to analyze opportunities and figure out how to make the numbers work. And most sellers, they don't have that skill. I mean, and that's not their fault per se because that's not what they're into, right?
Hmm.
Like I mean, like
Right.
I know nothing about plumbing and I have no intentions about I would hire somebody else, right? And then that's the same thing is with sellers, as you know. I mean, they don't know, and that's not their specialty. But that's where the
Right.
opportunity for us as investors, right? Right. We develop the skills, we analyze the market, we know how to crunch the numbers, and be able to figure out how can we make this work, right?
Right.
So with this particular deal, what would be your cash flow if you were to acquire it at what you want?
I think between $500 and $700 a month.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
a great cash flow, and that's like net, right?
that would be net because you make the tenant and like technically the owner of the property then who buys the property for you on contract takes all the utilities. They take the HOA fee and pay that. They take all the maintenance and responsibility for the home, and then they just pay me to buy the home, and right, they're responsible for everything else. So it really is
Right,
a hands-off cash flow option. And even if, right, like say that the tenant defaults or something like that, like I get the home back, right? So technically
right,
they're invested and they want to buy the home and they like obviously want to make it work and they're motivated. They're treat the property well. And if anything does happen, you know, they don't pay, they default or lose their job, like I still get the property back right at the end of
right,
it. And I keep all the cash flow and all that equity built
right.
into it. And they still pay down the loan for me. Right. So I
Yeah,
think it's a great option, especially if someone who works full time, like a lease option or contract for deed on a wrap like really does create cash flow without the headache of managing as much, I would think.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just imagine. I mean, $700 a month. That's a great cash flow. That is
Hmm.
that is awesome. Imagine you get like 10 of these, right? Throughout, in the next 3 or 5 years, you do 10 of these deals. That's $7,000 a month that comes in.
Hmm.
That's a full-time income that you're
Yeah.
generating on a part-time basis because I know you still working for a job that you're passionate about, that you
Hmm.
enjoy. Great. And that's why, like, I think investors, they don't have to quit what they're doing, right? Like, don't quit your day job, keep your day job because that pays the bills. Then start building your side, building that portfolio, and
Hmm.
just keep building. You get to the point, wow, you're 5 years or maybe even 3 years down the road, or you could even do it in 2 years. Who knows, right? Whatever that is, depending on how aggressive you are, you get 10 of them. You're making $7,000 a month. That's a good income
Hmm.
in addition to what you're currently doing with your other businesses, with your full-time job. Because with you, I mean, you have a full-time job and you're running a business and
Hmm.
you're investing in real estate. So you have multiple streams of income, right?
Hmm.
And people talk about the recession, things that's happening. And the thing is, if you have multiple streams of income, then then it's not, you're not going to be so worried about like, man, am I gonna, be able to pay my bills because you have multiple streams. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
There's one caveat I want to say to that about the one I'm doing is that when you buy an asset, right, you buy a home and then you rent it out for and like rent it to tenants, you own the property outright, and in 30 years, tenants will pay down your property and you'll have equity, you'll have appreciation, and you'll have cash flow and debt pay down. With the option I'm doing, especially with the trailers, is that for 5 to 7 years, I'll get that cash flow, but then after 7 years, it will stop, right? Because then
Mhm.
the person's going to own the property,
Right.
right? But trailers don't appreciate at all anyway.
Hmm.
But you get the cash flow from it. So then, in the like you're saying, if you have multiple streams of income, then you can start investing in things that you can buy and hold for the long term, like for 30
Absolutely.
plus years, right? So then you have the velocity of money going around, and then you can still take that income for about, like, say you have $1,000, right? Like then you save that, and then in 5 years, how many more can you buy with that money? And then you're set up for a lifetime of income, right?
Right.
So that'd be the one caveat with this. Like this specific one is for cash flow today for the next 5 to 7 years, which then I'm going to roll into things that will pay me for the next 30 to 50 years, right?
Right.
So that'd
Absolutely.
be the caveat for that option. It's a really good option for right now money, though.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's great. Get that money right now, get that money coming in, and then redeploy that money. Right. And that's the thing.
Absolutely.
That's like, I mean, like people who have like a good, like a W-2 job that pays really well, you know, take some of that money, redeploy it in an investment, right? Like whether it's real estate or whether it's buying whatever it is, right? Just redeploy a portion of that so it continues to grow for you.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's what you got to do, right? For long-term stuff. And that's what people do in the stock market, right? But you have no control of the stock market, but you have control of your rentals and how much you have. And at the end of 30 years, you're going to have an asset worth way more, have tons of equity, and still being paid that whole time, right?
Right.
So,
Absolutely. And one thing about real estate too is like you can continue to do it for as long as you want. Like there's no end date. As long as you're breathing and you're healthy, that's you could do real estate, right? I mean,
yeah,
I guess I'm biased because that's what I'm into. That's what we're
yeah,
into, right? So
yeah.
I was like, wait, real estate. I mean, and there's other things like you're getting into businesses, right? You're looking at business, you're buying businesses, you're turning business around. And that's how you started with your first business. You took a business that was doing all right, but then
hmm
you really turn it around and it's like was it 3x the income that you've originally.
Yeah, I think so. I think like, and during the good months, like three exit. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, so there's, and that's the thing, you guys, like when we live in the US, we live in America, there's opportunities to generate income multiple ways. Even
hmm
even if you're not doing real estate, like you could do side hustle, you could do what, there's so many different ways to generate income. It's just amazing.
Yeah. As soon as you get into this type of game and and you study a little bit, you know what you're doing, you get around people, you're actually overwhelmed by how much opportunities there are. And then you
Right.
don't know where to go next.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Right. It's like going to a buffet, like, oh, there's so many stuff. And that's the thing. When it comes to generating income, there is so many different ways that there's many different ways that you can generate income, and like for us, and that's the thing, once you start to focus on something and get good at it, it just becomes easier, right?
hmm hmm
I mean, I find for me in the beginning, obviously finding deals and stuff was a bit more challenging, but now I get to the point where I would say like 90% of the deals that I'm doing now is from referrals. People who know what I do and they call me up. I'm working on a deal right now. I'm not sure if I mentioned it on our last video, but someone's going through a a divorce, right? And reached out to me and we're able to basically help them out of their situation, right?
hmm
So, but yeah, I mean, it's always trying to create a win-win. Any deals we do, we're always trying to create something, a win-win situation for everybody involved. Because I think sometimes investors get a bad rap. I got the sun in my eye here. So that's the thing. I'm on the road, you guys. Um, you just create a win-win situation
Hmm.
in all of your dealings, and you don't have to worry about, like I don't want to take advantage of anybody, right? Because that's if you do business ethically and more the right way, there's going to be an abundance of opportunities, and more will come your way.
Hmm. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So let's kind of switch gears because I know you're doing deals, we're doing deals. I mean, as you know, we just heard about the Fed cutting the rates half a point, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, well, what are your thoughts on that, and what do you see?
I don't think it's going to flood the market with buyers. I don't think it's enough of a cut. I think there's a lot of people still on the sidelines or still can't afford things. So I don't think there's going to be a rush. I think there might be more listings for agents. Uh, and I recently heard Pace Morby say the biggest increase is going to be lending officers refinancing people's loans. Because if people who are locked into 8% or 7%, now you're at 6, like that's a way better deal. You save a couple $100 a month on your
Mhm.
mortgage. So that'd be a good thing. I don't think it's going to flood the market with people buying and drive prices up right now. I think if it cuts another half a point or another point, like I think it would. I think if people would get off the sidelines more and look more actively, which will then cause prices to skyrocket again.
Right. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying in terms of, yeah, with the current cut right now, I don't see it flooding the market with buyers. I think buyers are still on the sidelines. And also too, with, I don't want to get political with the election coming up. A lot of people are just waiting
Hmm.
to to see what happens. And honestly, this is the time to be buying when there's uncertainty, right? When people are afraid, they don't know what's happening. This is the time to buy. And as a buyer, this is the time to get deals, right?
Hmm.
Because we're gonna have a
Hmm.
short window. I say in the next 90 days or so, if you're a buyer and you're looking to invest, this is the time to do it. This is the time to go out there and put out unreasonable offers, right? Just put out some offers in there. You just never know, especially homes that are, sitting on the market. I mean, average days right now, we're pushing like 60 days on the market right now.
Hmm.
So, if they're sitting 90 days, 120 days, go put an offer, talk to the agent, have them put an offer that works for you, right?
Hmm. Right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially those ones. I've seen ones for like 150 days or over 200 days on the
Hmm.
market, right? And like
Yep.
sellers are wanting to get out, or they're trying to get too much for it, and so they need to come down in price and in
Right. Yeah.
terms.
Yep.
But still, if it's on the market for a long time or relisted, right, that happens too. Like it'll expire, then they'll relist again. So even if it's on the market for 30 days on Zillow, it's been over 100 plus,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Just look at that history, right? You look at that
Hmm.
history and you see it's been sitting on market a while, and look at to see if there's been a price cut as well, right?
Hmm.
If it's been listed and they haven't done any price cut, they might not be as motivated, right? But if you see they've done a couple price cuts and they're still not getting any bites, well, there shows that there's some motivation.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
this is the time to put an offer out and just to see what you can get.
Yeah.
As long as you do your numbers, don't get attached, right? It's just numbers.
Yeah.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't, next, just keep on looking.
Yeah. Which then comes into like, you got to have a good deal flow. You got to have good lead gen. Like always be adding stuff to your pipeline and never just count on one
Right,
deal, one
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, times are exciting, and I know, you know, in terms of the real estate cycle, especially during the fall winter time, things just start to slow down. But again, if you're a investor, you're a buyer, this is the time to go out there and getting the deals. Because when spring hits, the market heats up, the prices, I don't foresee the prices dropping. I see it going up. So
It's good for people who have stuff, right? You have to
yeah,
have assets to do that, to take advantage of that.
Yep, take advantage of that. Awesome. All right, it's always good, chatting with you, getting you on here and seeing what you're up to. So I was inspired. Also, too, I just want to notice, I didn't say this earlier, but you look like you've lost some weight. You've been working it out, right?
Yeah, most every day, 5 days a week, eating clean, lost about 25 to 30 pounds. So
Wow.
feeling really
Yeah.
good. Really helps your motivation for getting stuff done and also just helps you all around, right? To uh, feel if you feel good, you work good, and then you can work longer and better. So I
Right.
recommend anyone like uh, just get started with something, eat well, and get going because you'll feel better in your business and everything will thrive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we talked about, building, your wealth and stuff, but it's also important, to also work on your health, right?
Hmm.
Because what good is building all this wealth if you don't have the health to enjoy it,
Right,
right? Or you're spending your wealth trying to fix your health, right?
right. Hmm.
So, so I was encouraging, like, hey, look, be healthy, eat well, get in some kind of exercise, do something. Yeah, it's great in investing and stuff, but also you got to look at it holistically as well. So,
I agree. Yeah. If you don't have your health, you really can't enjoy anything you do.
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Jeremy, thanks for joining me, and
Yeah,
thanks,
absolutely, man. Love it.
yeah, and thank you for joining us. And we'll see you guys next time.
See you later.
All right.